Without a doubt, the new season of Gumball between over-the-top jokes and super awkward moments. But did you actually catch all the little animation and continuity errors that happened throughout Season 7? Right in the very first episode, when we see the Wattersons' house, the smiling mailbox is always shown. And notice, it's right there, happily standing on the left side of Gumball's house, okay? Well, when Richard shows up at home with a bag of fast food and Darwin gives him that anime-style kick straight out of a Japanese action scene, Richard runs outside to get his meal back. But this time, we can clearly see that the mailbox is now on the opposite side of the house. Still in episode 1, when the boys are walking downtown in Elmore, we can spot the store windows reflecting what looks like a bunch of parked cars on the opposite side of the street. But when the shot actually shows the other side of the road, there's not a single car around, just fast food billboards, which are the main focus of this episode's storyline. On top of that, when the camera pans wider and we see a black car drive by with a guy eating a burger, take a look. He doesn't appear in the same reflections where we just saw those supposed parked cars. Man, we caught all of these mistakes in just the first 3 minutes of the very first episode, which means there's a whole lot more coming. Get ready because now we're about to blow your mind. When Gumball and Darwin are walking around and end up at the burger joint, they pass by other shops, like a driving school right next door to the fast food place. They're literally side by side. But then when Gumball goes to walk into the burger place, his brother pulls him away and suddenly they're on the other side of the restaurant, at a shop offering healthier food. How is that even possible if just a second ago there was a driving school right next to the burger joint? Only in the world of Gumball. When the boys decide to grow their own food, the calendar is shown to give us an idea of the days going by as the plants grow to provide them with food. But here's where it gets weird. At one point, Gumball starts eating the actual paper sheets of the calendar. That's when we notice the mistake. When Gumball eats the page for November 27th, on the back of it is March 17th. Now you might think he must have pulled off several sheets and eaten them, right? Maybe. But if that's the case, why is it that right after he eats the March 17th page, the very next one says March 18th? Does time itself run differently in Elmore? Jumping over to episode 2, when Nicole is on the computer and we see her filthy room, thanks to Richard, there's a calendar next to the monitor with an empty bottle lying inside it and a half-eaten old apple. But when Gumball's mom starts talking about her life to the social worker, the shot changes angles, and both the bottle and the apple mysteriously vanish. And we know Nicole didn't clean up because all the underwear and trash are still scattered everywhere. Still in that episode, when Nicole is at the supermarket, we see 2 checkout lines. But Ori, Gumball's mom's virtual assistant, manages to sneak Nicole to the front. The mistake isn't even about her cutting the line, which is wrong too. It's that Larry's checkout register is on the right side. Yet when Nicole pulls off her extreme move and scans her barcode at the register, Ori has her climb onto a counter that's on the left side. So really, she should have been at the other cashier's lane, not Larry's. Okay, let's just assume the lines and registers switched places in 3 seconds. After all, we're talking about the amazing world of Gumball and almost nothing makes sense there. But there's another thing we can't just ignore. When we see the line and the register, we notice that in Larry's register line, there's no one with blue skin. However, when Nicole makes her move, who's suddenly at Larry's register? That's right, the random blue guy whose name I don't even know. On top of that, we magically see that right behind him is the same character Nicole had just passed by a few seconds earlier, the one who was handing out free samples to the mayor. Man, this is all totally insane, just like Nicole's day. In that same episode, when Nicole's family is inside the self-driving car and about to fall into Elmore Lake, which was Ori's plan, Gumball pulls a gum wrapper out of his head. And if you pause the scene at the right moment, you'll notice the gum is still stuck to his head. But in the very next shot, the candy completely vanishes from the protagonist's head. If you watch it in slow motion, you'll notice it just disappears out of nowhere. Before we continue, just a quick reminder. If you're also into movies, shows, and cartoons, go hit that subscribe button right now, alright? Continuing our list of small errors in Gumball's 7th season, in the 3rd episode called The Distance, Nicole comes up with the idea of putting the boys in separate rooms, and we see that Darwin's new room will be in the basement. And when the place is shown, notice that right next to the staircase there's a couch. However, when Richard goes to show the place and points out a little pile of sand, the couch has completely vanished. And later on, in the very same episode, we see it mysteriously reappear out of nowhere. Dude, that was seriously creepy. Now moving on to the 4th episode of the 7th season, we see Nicole is really dedicated to making a dinner to welcome her lovely and beloved mother-in-law, with lots of quotation marks. And in that scene, we notice she places a black pot on the stove right next to the chicken. But when Richard walks by, notice that the pot just disappears. And when we say it disappeared, we mean it. It's gone. You can't see it anywhere else in the kitchen. In the same episode, while Richard desperately tries to remember what topic Nicole wanted him to bring up, we see that he hands her a straw hat that's clearly a reference to Luffy from the Japanese anime One Piece, like we mentioned in one of our videos about hidden details and Easter eggs in the 7th season. Right after that, when Nicole's husband walks into the kitchen all sad because he doesn't know what it's about, the same hat is now on top of the fridge. Okay, so far no problem. But then, when we see Richard sitting in front of the house with his kids, upset because Nicole says she's disappointed, the hat, along with a bunch of other stuff, is sitting on the sidewalk as trash waiting to be picked up. And when, at the end of the episode, Richard comes back for one last talk with his wife, guess what's on top of the fridge again? That's right, the hat. And not just that, the green teddy bear that was tossed out with the trash is back too. So did Nicole specifically rescue just those two things before the garbage truck passed by? Still in the episode about the forgotten subject, when Richard remembers that he has to go pick up his mom at the bus station, we notice a detail that isn't exactly an error, but definitely doesn't make much sense. When he runs off carrying his mom, if you look closely or put the scene in slow motion, you'll notice he passes by the same wall with the hamburger poster and the blue poster 3 times. Count with me. 1, 2, 3. Seriously, what are the odds of having 3 walls with identical posters positioned in the exact same way on the wall of one single place? I'd say the chances are close to 0, don't you think? When Richard comes back home alone and sad, thinking he's about to disappoint Nicole since he accidentally left the kids and his mom stuck at the bus station, he ends up finding out that's exactly what Nicole wanted. If you look closely, right on the corner of the sink counter, you can spot the fondue pot that Gumball's dad had found earlier. But then, in the very next scene, when Nicole takes her husband into the dining room, abracadabra, the same fondue pot is there all set up and ready for the couple. How is that possible? After all, Richard only found one pot in the show. And not just that, the very same pot that's sitting next to the fondue pot also shows up on the dining table, already served. Wow, is this what they call culinary magic? Moving on to episode 6, the traffic, we notice something pretty interesting. When the Wattersons are on their way to Daisyland to take an ace there one last time before the park shuts down for good, you can clearly see Daisy right there by her owner and best friend during the whole ride. Or is it really the whole ride? Because right after Nicole finds out that Richard had made a few adjustments to the family car, Daisy suddenly disappears from Anace's side for a few moments. But then she magically reappears in her normal spot. Is that what people call a time slip? Maybe. In the same episode, when Nicole tries to take the truck's spot on the road but fails, we can see through the back window that the truck keeps driving normally behind her. However, when she deflates the car tires and drives underneath the big vehicle, something we should never do, notice that the truck is now completely stopped. Of course, if she had actually tried to pull that off with the truck moving, it would have been impossible. Unless, of course, it was one of the 50 Fast and Furious movies, where literally anything involving cars is possible. When the family is back in the traffic jam, Darwin freaks out over his fear of the creepy baby at Daisyland. In fact, he ends up getting knocked out when he slams right into the door of the car behind the Wattersons, which is being driven by Tobias's dad, who's the one that opens the door Darwin smashes his face into. But later, when Nicole loses it and drives in reverse all the way back to Elmore to snap Gumball out of his catatonic state, she does it in reverse until reaching Penny's house. Okay, sounds fine, right? Not really. Where did the car and Tobias's dad that were right behind them suddenly go? Let's not forget they were stuck in a traffic jam, so it's not like he could just vanish out of nowhere. Clearly, this was a small continuity slip that almost no one noticed. Until now, because now you know about it. That's it for today, but stay tuned because we'll be dropping more Gumball videos soon. So if you enjoy content like this, we're leaving 2 amazing options on your screen right now. Just pick one of the 2 and have fun. Thanks.